Hello, basketball fans. Today I'm going to start something new. I am still going to be uploading top 10s and mixes to this channel, but since NBA fantasy season is almost upon us, I decided to start sort of a mini how-to slash advice and tips video series for NBA fantasy. Who to pick, who the best people for each position, for each stat are. And today we're going to start out with the very basic top 10 NBA fantasy players overall for this upcoming 2014-2015 season. And so, like always, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoy free fantasy basketball advice. Well, I guess that last part is not new. It's pretty new, but if you enjoy it, just show some love down in the comment section. And comment any questions you have about your fantasy team, or fantasy basketball, or just basketball in general, actually. And I'll try my best to help you out and answer them. Alright, so let's get started with number 10. Now, I'm a Blazer fan, so it was kind of hard for me not to put him up higher on the list, but this is where I believe he should be. So number 10 is LaMarcus Aldridge of the Portland Trail Blazers. So his stats were 23.2 points per game, which was a career high, 2.6 assists per game, which is okay for a power forward, and 11 rebounds a game. Now that was the big thing last year, is he greatly increased his rebounding. There was always talk about him barely getting 7-8 rebounds a game, and this season he upped it a lot. In most games he got double-doubles. So let's look at some pros and cons. So first off, on the pro side, he hits his free throws. Now a few years ago, he was a little bit sketchy at the free throw line. Sometimes you didn't want him going there late in the game. Excuse me, guys. Oh, sorry about that. I'm a little bit sick when recording this, but battle through it. Okay, so like I was saying, a few years ago, he wasn't the most clutch free throw shooter, but now he gets to the line, he hits his free throws, and he's very good at it. So like I said before, he is an improved rebounder, and that's going to help you a lot, because before he would give you points, he would give you, the free throw percentage for a big man, but he wouldn't give you the rebounds. And last year, he showed that he can rebound above 10 rebounds a game. He is a top 3 post player in the NBA. Now, the only players I might say are better than him right now are Al Jefferson and maybe Tim Duncan in the post, and that's it. People want to say that Blake Griffin is the best power forward in the game, or Kevin Love is the best power forward in the game, and both of them are great power forwards. Griffin's improving every year. Love has improved steadily since he competed in the Olympics. But LaMarcus Aldridge, in my opinion, even though he's not the highest power forward on this list, is the best power forward in the game due to his durability, his leadership, his ability to score from pretty much anywhere on the court. Last year in the playoffs, he showed he has some three-point range. And winning's always a big part of who's determined as the best. It always has been. That's why LeBron's not as good as Michael, because LeBron only has two rings. So winning's always a big part of it, and Kevin Love's never been in the playoffs, and LaMarcus has been there twice, I believe. I have to check on that. But last year especially, got to the second round. And that's big for that. And he's very mature. He's not going to get a bunch of T's. Not a bunch of technical fouls. He's not going to get ejected from games. And so that's a big thing when you are drafting your first overall player. Is you don't want somebody who's going to usually, DeMarcus Cousins, get thrown out of a game because he's not mature enough to handle getting a foul, or even though it was a foul he shouldn't have gotten, he shakes it off, he continues to play, and he's going to give you a solid 20 and 10 performance every night. Now, some bad things about LaMarcus. These are kind of hard to find because I like him so much, but he only averages about a block a game. He's 6'11", sometimes he plays the center position. I believe he should be at least at 2. That's just my opinion. But I believe that his pros kind of maybe cancel that out, though, because you get more good than bad. And it's still a block game, It's not like he's Kevin Love. And also not a lot of steals for a big man. And that's not one of the more important stats for a power forward, but still, it's nice to have at least one from your power forward. All right, number 9, Russell Westbrook. So Russell averaged nearly 22 points a game last year, along with 7 assists and 6 rebounds. Now I'll tell you why I like Russell. Even though he has the second best basketball player in the world on his team, he still averages these numbers. Most people playing with Kevin Durant, in my opinion, should average 10 assists per game if they're the point guard. But Russell Westbrook averages 7 assists per game, while scoring 22 points a game. And to put that into context, Damian Lillard, for my Blazers, only averages about 6 or 7 assists. And I think Damian's more of a facilitator than Westbrook is. So let's look at the pros and cons for Westbrook. First pro, he is dominant at getting to the rim. He runs the fast break, second to none in the NBA at point guard position. He gets to the rim, he's so explosive. I guess that's the 4th pro down there, but I guess he's going to do it now. He can shoot past his guys, and that also allows him to get fouled. Some people in the NBA, if Westbrook runs past them, they try to reach out and grab him to stop the fast break or whatever, and that's really good. Draws fouls, gets to the line, and he hits his free throws. That's another pro. He's very good at getting to the line, hitting his free throws. That's something that's very important for a guard, especially. He's also an improved shooter. This last year, especially with that game-winning 3, and just his 3-point range and overall has improved a lot since he came into the league. So it's going to help you out with a few, maybe not a few, but like 1.5, sometimes 2 a game. Okay, so the cons for Westbrook. There are definitely some cons for Westbrook. The first of which, and I see one that I didn't add that I should have added, and I'll get to that later. Sorry, my phone's going on. Breaking Bad ringtone. Okay, first con, bad shot selection. Now, there are several players in the league, especially from the guard position, like Brandon Jennings, who suffer from this. And Westbrook sometimes gets it in his head that he has to be number 1, or he's competing with Durant, I think. And that leads to some bad shot selection sometimes, so that's going to hurt your field goal percentage. That's also going to hurt your turnovers, because he sometimes makes bad decisions in other areas of the game. And like I said up above, any point guard playing with Durant should average 10 assists or more. This sort of goes with that. He doesn't give it to KD enough. I feel like sometimes he tries to, win the game for the team instead of playing team ball and giving it to the best player. And I think that's what he should do more often. So that could, again lead to bad shot selection, lower your field goal percentage, lower your 3-point percentage, And the thing I said I should have added was he's not the most mature. Now, he has matured a lot. He's a good person, I believe. But he is a guy that can get thrown out. He is a guy that will pick up a technical foul, get in a fight, and that can hurt your stats for a night. If you have only a few people playing and one of them is Russell Westbrook, it's going to hurt a lot if he gets tossed out of a game. Now, I don't know the exact numbers from last year. I don't think he got tossed out a lot. But that's something definitely to consider. Number 8, Carmelo Anthony. So, Carmelo, obviously, dominant scorer, 27 points a game last year, second in the league. Only 3 assists a game, that's nothing new for him, and 8 rebounds a game. That's pretty good for a small forward, 8 rebounds. Okay, first off, dominant scorer, everybody knows that. He can score from anywhere. He can score in the post, he can score from outside, he can score from mid-range, he can score under the basket. There's nowhere that Carmelo Anthony cannot score. And he also, due to his rank among NBA players, sometimes gets superstar calls, but he's also good at getting to the line, and he hits his free throws at a very high clip. And everybody knows that Carmelo is clutch. There's no doubt about it that if the New York Knicks are in a one-possession game coming down the last minute of the game, it's going into Carmelo's hands. And sometimes it's a bad thing. I'll get to that later. And I guess we'll get to it right now. He constantly stops ball movement, and that was one of the biggest complaints coming into last season or the season before. When people were complaining about why the Knicks were playing so bad after they got Carmelo, because before that they had Raymond Felton, they had Amari Stoudemire, both those guys were playing good. Amari actually had that stretch of like 40 or 50 point games or whatever, and he scored like a crazy amount of points in a straight number of games. And Amari was like the starter on the All-Star team. He was playing out of his mind. Obviously injuries are most of the reason why he stopped playing that well. But Carmelo getting there sort of stopped the ball movement. He's swinging it around and Carmelo has it, and now Carmelo's going to take this shot. Carmelo's going to do this ISO. Carmelo's going to, post up or whatever. And, he's a good scorer, don't get me wrong, but sometimes he just needs to pass the ball more. And that goes to the second point there. He takes too many shots on occasion. He only averages 3 assists a game. I understand that sometimes he plays the power forward position. And that, power forwards have less assists. But, if he's missing a bunch of shots, which he does on occasion, you need to pass it. And that'll bring up your assists. That'll make the team play better. That's what he needs to do. Number 7, Kevin Love. So obviously these numbers are going to be down a little bit. Well, actually, just the points one will be down a little bit, I believe. 26 points a game last year, while being the primary and really only scorer on that team besides Kevin Martin and on occasion Nikola Pekovic. 4.4 assists a game. Now see, Love's a power forward. He gets over an assist a game more than Carmelo. And 12.5 rebounds. Now, I see no reason for the rebounds to go down. I actually think the assists might go up because he has better players playing around him. But the points, just like with LeBron leaving the Cavs back in 2010, the points are going to go down because he's playing with 2 other star players. Yeah. Let's look at the pros and cons. So everybody knows that Kevin Love is an excellent rebounder. 30-30 game against the Knicks, really solidified that. And he's good, rebounds 12.5 per game. That is, top 5 in the NBA. So he's an excellent pick for rebounds if you want him. And also, very unusual for a big man that gets that many rebounds. He hits lots of threes. He hits around 2.5 to 3 threes a game, which is big in fantasy, since threes are worth so many points in some leagues, and they're counted heavily. And a big man that can do that is very good. He also hits his free throws. He's just an overall good shooter. You can tell that he wasn't always 6'10". So he's practiced his free throws, he's practiced his threes, he's practiced his mid-range game. He's very good in the pick and roll. He's just an overall good guy to take. Cons for a big man like LaMarcus, he doesn't get many blocks. He's not as good at LaMarcus in the blocks category because he doesn't, defend the rim that often. Another con, he isn't very durable. He has missed big chunks of the past 2 seasons. I forget what it was the first season, but this last season was the hand, I believe. So you have to worry about that. If your number 1 pick isn't going to be playing sometimes, then that's a problem. And he's not enough of a post presence. Now, don't get me wrong, he has some post moves, but he's not like LaMarcus in any regard. And if you're looking for really high field goal percentage from a big man, maybe Kevin Love isn't your guy. Number 6, James Harden. Now everybody knows James Harden gets to the line a lot. He's good 3-point shooter. He scores a lot. But James Harden is, one of the best players in the NBA because of that 6.1 assists per game while scoring 25 a game at the shooting guard position. You know, I already talked about the dominant at scoring, gets to the free throw line, but he spreads the ball around. That's huge. You know, somebody with as much scoring ability as James Harden passes the ball so much. You know, Carmelo could learn something from that. I know they play different positions, and sometimes James is the point guard, but still. Cons, you know, everybody's made fun of this forever, or since he went to Houston at least. His one-on-one defense needs improvement. You know, you can find lots of videos online about him just leaving his man wide open, and that can lead to some problems. And he only gets 1 steal a game. That sort of goes to the defense too. You know, I believe a shooting guard slash small forward slash point guard as he is should get at least 2 a game. You know, especially somebody as young and as athletic as him. Number 5, Stephen Curry. Now this is sort of where my list gets a little bit weird, because I have Stephen Curry below Chris Paul. And a lot of people have Chris Paul above Stephen Curry. Or, you know, they have Chris Paul at number 5, Stephen Curry at number 4. And that's not because I think, well, I do think Chris is the better point guard. But here's why Stephen Curry is number 5. 24 points a game, almost 9 assists a game, along with 4 rebounds a game for a point guard. You know, Curry, obviously, best three-point shooter in the game, current NBA, no doubt about it. You know, he's playing with the second best three-point shooter, too, in Klay Thompson. You know, he hits his free throws, 90% plus career free throw shooter. 2 steals a game average, which is very good. You know, I never really thought of Curry as a defensive, one-on-one defensive guy, but he gets 2 steals a game. You got to be good for that. I said 8.5 assists, almost 9 assists per game. That's a golden number for point guards. Get 10 assists a game, you're good. And he's also very mature. You know, he doesn't lose his composure often, doesn't get a lot of texts, like I said, up there with LaMarcus. He's not going to get thrown out of a game. He's just a good overall guy. Okay. So, like Kevin Love, his durability is a question. His ankles have plagued him since he came into the NBA. Really, since the past few years mostly, when it started to happen. However, last year, he sort of got a little bit, you know, free from the ankle injuries. Hopefully it continues this year, because he's such a fun player to watch. And I want to see him do well. He does struggle guarding bigger guards. You know, he's 6'3", which is the average size for a point guard in the NBA. However, he has trouble going up against the John Walls, the Grievous Vasquez's, the Tony Rotens of the NBA, because they're just bigger than him, you know, and he's not scrawny by any means. You know, he's very athletic, he's very fit, but he is smaller. You know, he has a small build. You know, he looks maybe not last year, but he always looked like he was a teenager or something, even though he's a full-grown man. But Stephen Curry, definitely a very solid player. Number 4, Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul is, without a doubt, the current best point guard in the NBA. And it goes beyond his nearly 20 points a game, 11 assists a game, 4 rebounds a game. It goes beyond that. It's because of his basketball IQ. And you can see down there, I have the highest IQ in the NBA, and to me that is without a question, without a doubt, highest IQ in the NBA. You know, the only one that can maybe compete with that, the point guard position, is Rondo. And he's not on this list. But he's definitely, Rondo is a guy that, if healthy, would be on this list. You know, if he hadn't broken his hand a few days ago, he would be on this list. Okay, so Chris Paul, dominant distributor. Everybody knows that. 11 assists per game. It's amazing. And at times, he can go out and get you 30 points a game, you know? He's this huge scoring threat at times. When something happens to Blake, you know, he can go out there and he can hit the threes, he can get to the line, he can get, you know, past defenders into the lane, he can lay it up, he can, you know, whatever. So he can at times give you huge scoring outputs while keeping the 11 assists per game. He gets lots of steals. He gets nearly 3 steals a game, and that's top 5, I believe, in the NBA. He's a great one-on-one defender against pretty much all point guards. He gets a lot of steals, like I mentioned above, and he's just a little. He's pesky. People get annoyed at him, and sometimes he flops. But he's very smart. A very, very smart player. And like Curry and like LaMarcus, mature composure. Not going to get tossed out. He's not going to get a bunch of techs, and it's going to help you out in the long run. His cons: he's short, he's 6 foot, and that's all. That's the only con. Number 3. Now, people might not like this, but I believe it's right. LeBron James at number 3. 27 points a game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Nearly 7 rebounds, actually. And, everybody knows, he went from the Heat to the Cavs this offseason. We went back home. And, I believe it was the right decision. And why I have LeBron at 3, it's because he's going to play with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And when he played with the Heat, Bosh was not as much of a scoring threat as Kevin Love is right now. And even though Wade, I believe, was better, not anymore, than Kyrie Irving, Kyrie is going to be a great scorer as well. So I think LeBron's numbers are going to go back down, like everybody thought they would when he left Cleveland the first time to go to Miami. I believe they're going to go, scoring at least. I believe his assists are going to go up, actually. And his rebounds might stay the same, with Kevin Love. If they have Anderson Varejao and they're playing center too, that's going to be a really, really good front court. There might not be a ton of rebounds for LeBron, actually. Alright, so everybody knows he's a dominant scorer, excellent defender, improved post-game in the finals a few years ago. He's a triple-double threat every night. He can get you 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 30 points, and he's a one-man fast break. He can either score, throw the lob, get the block. He's great in the fast break. Cons: he's not the best three-point shooter. Everybody knows that. When he was at the Cavs in the playoffs against the Magic or the Celtics, he would just stand out on the perimeter and not take a lot of, not drive to the rim. And so that's one of the cons. Until he proves in that'll be always a con. He's going to hurt your three-point percentage sometimes. He's not the best free throw shooter. Now, he gets there a lot because he's really good at driving to the rim. But sometimes he's not the best at hitting the free throws. And that can hurt your free throw percentage. He flops and his hairline is receding, I guess. If you want to make something up, there you go. That's a bad thing about LeBron. It's going to be hard to sway somebody away from taking LeBron in the draft, though, so those cons aren't really, make a dent in what he does to help a team. Alright, number 2, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis came into last season with a pretty subpar rookie season. Damian Lillard taking over the Rookie of the Year by a landslide. Anthony Davis came in and had something to prove, and he did. He upped his points from 14 points a game to 21 points a game. He upped his rebounds from 8 to 10. His assists are still pretty low, but, he's the only superstar on that team. And that's one of my pros down there. So he came with something to prove, and he proved it. And he's going to be the best player in this league at some point, I believe. Once LeBron's gone, once Kevin's gone, once LaMarcus and Lillard and all those people are gone, I believe that Anthony Davis is going to be probably the best player in the NBA. So, he's an improved post player. When he first came into the league, he was known in college as sort of a mid to long range. He didn't hit a lot of threes in college. However, he was more of a mid-range type post guy. He's good for mid-range. That's another pro. Even though he goes into the post now, and he can, he has post hooks, I don't know if he has a lot of fadeaways, but he's good in the post, let's just say that. But he's also good for mid-range. The pick and roll mid-range, he can hit that shot. He's a dominant rebounder and rim defender. I don't have his blocks numbers up there, but he averages around 2 blocks a game, maybe even 3 blocks a game. You know, he's 6'10", I believe. You know, he needs to add a little bit more weight onto him, but he's got huge arms. He's great at blocking shots. He's great at getting up there and getting the rebounds, and that's why he averages 10 rebounds a game. And he is the team's only superstar, which is maybe not so good for him, but it's really good for you in terms of, you know, each game output. You know, with LeBron or Kevin or LaMarcus, you know, LaMarcus has got Damian too. But those guys, sometimes the other players they will defer to, you know? And with Anthony Davis, the second best player on that team is Jrue Holiday, and he's the point guard. And Jrue is at times more of a scoring point guard, but I believe that Jrue is a pass-first point guard. So that'll help out Anthony Davis owners. And he competed in the Olympics this year. Well, it wasn't the Olympics, it was the basketball tournament. And back in, I believe it was 2010, when they did that before, with Derrick Rose and Kevin Love and Andre Iguodala and all them, every single player, I believe, every single player that competed in those games came back the next year even way, way better. You know, Kevin Love came back and had the 30-30 game. Andre Iguodala led the 76ers to the playoffs. Derrick Rose became the MVP, had such an amazing season that year. You know, I forget who else. Tyson Chandler won a ring in Dallas. You know, it was one of the best defensive centers in the game that year. It was just, you know, player after player that came back from that game, or that tournament, was just so good. And Anthony Davis competed in that tournament this year. So who knows? He might come back and score 25 a game, get 13 rebounds. You know, he might be amazing. So cons. Durability is an issue. Last year was only his second season, but he still was out for long stretches of time due to injuries, various injuries. And he needs to learn how to pass out of a double better. Now, if he doesn't, that's going to hurt your turnovers, because he does turn it over sometimes when they double him in the post. But pretty much, that's his only cons right now. And number one, you all know who he is. He's the number one everywhere, Kevin Durant. Second best overall player in the NBA, in my opinion. You know, 32 points a game, by far the best scorer in the NBA. 5.5 assists a game. That's around most, not most, but some starting point guard numbers, and 7 rebounds a game. So, like I said, he is by far the best scorer in the NBA. You know, there's Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Kobe Bryant. You know, I'm sure I'm missing a very obvious one. However, best scorer in the NBA by far. He's an excellent three-point shooter. He has good three-point percentage. I guess I don't even have it here, but he has just good percentage everywhere. You know, he hits from everywhere on the court: mid-range, close range, three-point range, free throw line. He gets to the line, hits his free throws. He shoots nearly 90%, I think, from the free throw line, and he's clutch. You know, like Carmelo Anthony, if the game's coming down to the line, it should be in Kevin Durant's hand. Not that it always is with Russell Westbrook there, but it should be in Kevin Durant's hand. And he, when it is in his hand, he delivers most of the time. He's very clutch. So, cons on Kevin Durant are pretty hard to find, and some of these are a little ticky-tack in my opinion, even though I made them up. He needs to improve his one-on-one defense. You know, he's already, you know, he's pretty good there. You know, I'm not going to lie. But he could be better. You know, he's 6'10", 6'11", almost a 7-foot perimeter player. So that's, you know, people are asking a lot for him to also be a great one-on-one perimeter defender. But he's going to need to do that eventually. He passes up a shot often. You know, sometimes he's just too nice. You know, passes to Serge Ibaka for a mid-range jumper, or, you know, now Serge Ibaka for a three-pointer. You know, he passes it to Russell too much, and Russell doesn't pass it back enough. So that can be, you know, bad for you guys. fantasy-wise. You know, I could lower his points per game, although he scores 30 points without even trying. And like LeBron, he needs to take a page from the books. He needs to take a page from LeBron's book and improve/develop a post game. Right now, he doesn't really have one. His main move is, pull up shot, get to the rim, draw fouls. I believe that if he wants to win a championship, he's going to have to take it down to the post. And that's probably my biggest knock on him right now, is he doesn't really have a post game. And being almost 7 foot tall and being that quick, you kind of need a post game. Alright guys, thank you for watching this first episode of Fantasy Advice. I'm going to be probably going into my league, the league I'm the commissioner of, and looking at the different teams in there. I'll show you my team. I will, just come up with some more advice. I might do a video about, top 5 players at each position for fantasy, best players for rebounding, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, assists, points, and you go ahead and comment any questions you have about your team, about fantasy basketball, or about basketball in general down in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer them. Just got any questions about, just basketball in general, doesn't have to be about fantasy basketball. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, if you didn't enjoy the video, by all means don't do it, but if you enjoyed it, Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Just get higher up in the search results.